Welcome. See, I'm a little hot on that mic. Welcome to the Racket House
Good.
Podcast, episode 7, where we discuss
Sweet.
all things music and success in our fun corner of the world, helping to inspire, inform, educate, motivate, and keep hope alive for musicians, creatives, entrepreneurs, and anyone else who wants to grow their brand in the music or creative spaces. Today, I'm super pumped. I'm physically energized because we're getting in the mind. Inside the mind of a disco demon, the Goshfather himself has graced us with his presence and given us some time here. If you don't know who the Goshfather is, he's a San Francisco-based artist who's shaking up the electronic music scene by blending disco, funk, and tech house into a sound that's truly his own. He's inspired by legends like Daft Punk, Duck Sauce, and many others, and he's earned residencies across the U.S., toured globally, and in 2023, challenged himself to release a new track every single week in a challenge that he absolutely destroyed. And I'm looking at his SoundCloud page. He's got almost 35,000 followers from that. So good work. His music's been supported by names like Bingo Players, Dr. Fresh, and Diplo, and he's racking up hundreds of thousands of downloads. Today, we'll dive into his creative process, his journey, and what's next for him. And he's got a big show coming up in San Francisco where he's going to be opening up for the legend Gordo. We'll talk about that in a bit. I just want to say, before I welcome you, Goshfather, officially, why I wanted you on, right? So the why behind this was, honestly, you just popped up on my social media feed one day, like earlier this year. And I started seeing you everywhere. Like you're very active on socials. You have a very dialed in brand. My favorite thing about you is like you're like you headbang during your sets, but you're playing disco. So like I think I jokingly commented at one point where I was like watching one of your videos headbanging at a club, and I'm like, if I muted this, I'd think you're playing like dubstep or some heavy stuff, but like you got this whole thing locked in. Your look and feel and your sound. Your social media is inspiring and hilarious. You're always offering tips and insights to artists. You made it on your own by seemingly just doing it yourself. No team around you, no big real, team or marketing pushes or anything. We can talk about that. But and your big personality and like just like I said, some of your skits are hilarious. I think you had one about DoorDash delivering something to you, and they were like texting you about how it smelled like shit in there. And like, anyways, welcome to the podcast.
Let's go, baby.
Very, very own in the flesh, Goshfather. Excuse me.
I'll take Godfather. It's fine. It's good.
You're the Godfather. Welcome, man.
Hey, what a pleasure. What an intro. I appreciate that very, very much, John. Thank you. Appreciate that a lot.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I know it's a little long-winded, but I have to give props where props are due. And, to those listening, like this is literally the first time we've actually like met in live other than like texting and commenting on each other's stuff. But like I said, this guy honestly is in my opinion, a model of like an independent artist who is doing it on his own and crushing it. And there's so many reasons why. So we can jump right into it. I always love to hear the early days, the early stories, kind of like where you came from, how you got here, how you got into disco. You can really start anywhere, but I mean, ultimately what I want to get to is today.
Sweet.
And like all the stuff that you think about as an artist and how we can get other artists thinking like you and maybe taking some of the same actions. It's easier said than done, of course, but let's start with some early days and then and fast forward to 2024.
Sweet, let's let it rip. So I'm Goshfather. Also known as the name that I was given with when I was born, Victor. I'm more also known as Goshfather than I am Victor. But yeah, I mean, when I started off DJing when I was in college, I ran like a nightclub promotion thing because I wanted to, I just wanted to get paid to party, and I would bring party buses of kids from UCLA. And I'm a classically trained opera singer. So that's what I was studying at UCLA. So I'm an opera singer.
Hell yeah.
Classically trained for about 10, 11 years. I was on track to like actually having a career in opera on stage.
Can we put you on the spot to belt it a little? You're not warmed up. Not warmed up. Okay.
Not drunk enough, and I haven't been drinking. So I don't know. It could be a moonshot away. Maybe catch me in another.
Okay.
We'll see soon, maybe. But yeah, that's where I kind of came from. And then, they were like, come on, you do music, right? You should DJ at these club events that you're bringing all these kids to. I'm like, nah. And then this is in Hollywood, by the way. So it was in UCLA. I was promoting clubs in Hollywood. That's why I know so many people from like the LA scene, sure. Hollywood scene, people that became huge DJs, huge in the music industry, all through nightlife, and that's how I started. And I was kind of a sea urchin bringing the college kids. And eventually I was like, fuck it, let's just fucking try this DJing shit. And I ended up falling in love with it. And that's when Swedish House Mafia was becoming big, when Bloghouse was really big, when like Skrillex was just coming up, like all this stuff. I fell in love with it. I fell in love head over heels with the culture, with the blogs, with I just all the incredible music that was coming out. I was like, I can fucking do this.
Yeah.
I've
And it
been
sounds
playing
like
classical.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, we were gonna say it sounds like we came up in the same kind of time. I'm assuming.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think we know a lot. I think we know a lot more people in common than
I'm sure we do. And I was part of that Bloghouse scene. I was, I mean, same as me. Okay, so awesome. LA scene, promoter, started getting into DJing, music, dance music was getting big in America. That's kind of my story too. But and then okay, so where does it go from there?
So, and I'm getting into it, and I was just thinking I was gonna be just like a DJ that just kind of plays the parties, but I ended up falling in love with production. So fast forward, and this is probably somebody that you know as well, but I used to be in a group over time when I started really producing and taking it seriously. This is when like trap was really big and stuff. I guess kind of in that era, maybe, or maybe like big room into trap kind of era of EDM dance music. I joined with this guy named Jinko, and we were Goshfather and Jinko. This guy Jeremy, we were together, and we reached incredible heights. I mean, we were signed to William Morris Endeavor. We were touring. We went on a world. Not a world tour, but at least a very thorough United States tour, like playing all the big markets, crushing it, making weird trap in a time when trap was becoming kind of homogenized, even though it was very, that's how it is in dance music, right? New genre comes out, Chami comes out, Flume comes out. In 6 months, you have 50 Flumes, you have 45 Chamis. That's why, as much as I'm the biggest SoundCloud stan in the world, SoundCloud kind of destroys the planet, because you can so quickly get exposed to so many copycats of any kind of music. So that's for later down the line in this conversation. But anyway, so we reached incredible heights, and then we broke up. We just had differences of opinion in how the musical direction should go, where the managerial kind of internal direction should go. But listen, we were, we had the hustle, we had the grind. We were just guys that were complete outsiders. I was friends with a lot of the guys, the Jawses and the Slanders, and like all these people. We were all coming up who ended up reaching great heights themselves. But there was just we just had some differences, but it was all hustle. Looking back, this is one of my biggest things, one of my biggest memories of like when I was in that era, my first iteration, when I first hit it big as a DJ, as a producer, DJ, touring and dance music. Falling asleep at the studio. Falling asleep at the studio. That is one of the biggest hallmarks of you are not in dreamland anymore. This is no longer a joke to you. This is not, I like EDM. This is, me and him would fall asleep choosing snare drums because we'd be in there for 11 hours, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Oh, must be nice we had no fucking, you think his parents weren't supporting him. My parents weren't supporting me. We had our own jobs. We had our own things. We had to find ways to automate our lives to be able to have the luxury to be able to pull 10-hour, 11-hour sessions, working on songs that half of them we released for free.
Right.
But it's those songs that we were releasing for free at those times that blew up on Hype Machine. That's a fucking ancient relic of the past, like the fucking telephone booth.
I remember.
The fucking pay telephone. We got Hype Machine, pay telephone. Same fucking relics of dinosauric Mesozoic era.
Those blogs blew a lot of artists up back in the day, for sure.
We toured because of 2 songs that exploded on there. So 2 bootleg remixes.
What were they?
So one was Dido, Tears Gone Cold, I'm Wondering Why. We did a big trap remix of it, got millions of plays. And then we had a song with Dr. Fresh. We did a trap remix of Love Fool. Love me, say that you love me.
Hell yeah.
Blew the fuck up on those things. And that got us an agent. It got us a manager. We toured.
Wow.
Point is, sleeping at this, throw all that shit away. Sleeping at the studio. All of this is brought to you by sleep. When I look back on that era, there's a lot of like triumphs and a lot of like kind of negatives, a lot of like, whatever, there's ups and downs. But sleeping at the studio, when I look back and I think about what is it like to know that you're about to break on something, when this is no longer a fantasy, it's called when you're falling asleep doing the thing. Nobody talks about this shit. Everyone talks about, we were grinding. How hard were you grinding? I'm not trying to sound like fucking like, David Goggins trying to guru here. But dude, you don't know that you love something or not until you're falling asleep while doing it, and that's what we were doing. And you see what I mean? Because it's like, there's no other activities. Yes, you have to enjoy your life and live a little. Dude, I was living enough. Okay, I worked in fucking nightlife.
Yep.
I've seen it all. I've done it all. I've met all kinds of people. There was something about wanting to leave a legacy with my music and my art that took a precedent over all this clever little shit. Okay? Falling asleep at the studio.
It's quite literally living and breathing your passion and what you want to do in life. And I just want to read everybody your thread post from yesterday because it was very much
it's a banger. It's a banger.
They're all bangers. I mean, you got holy shit. I actually didn't realize you have 324 likes, 39 comments, 39 reposts.
It's gonna blow up.
It's really interesting how Threads works, and I'd love for you to talk more about that in a bit. But
it's a huge part of what I do.
The only reasons musicians doing it better than you are making it is because of pure luck. And obviously, there's a bit of a troll post here because it's a little sarcasm, but because we've both commented on a post recently that was like, the majority of things that happen to you is in life is because of luck. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, and maybe you have your own opinions on that, but my opinion was like, dude, you control what you can control. Yes, there's things out of your control, but like, control what you can, and you can control your own destiny. Anyways, here's how they got lucky. This is still back from the Threads post. Sleepless nights, overcoming rejection, making tons of music and no one caring, experimenting on how to market themselves and failing 10,000 times, getting back up, being horrified from sending a big DM email to someone bigger than them, but still doing it, not giving into their own shortcomings or excuses, believing in themselves when nobody else did. Right there. Right. That's your inspiration.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, I knew how to kind of, tee that one up because it's crazy. Because so for those of you that don't know, Instagram Threads it's my favorite fucking social media platform for sure, because it's the actual social media platform in the purest sense, and that's why I love it, and I'm having a lot of success on it. It's really changing. It's really part of like why my career is like coming back, because I'm just proliferating my thoughts so efficiently on there, hopefully in a positive way, right? So and right there, it's like because of Threads, I'm using Threads now the way that a lot of people use Twitter, but like it's a lot more manageable on Threads because the algorithm on there, I'm seeing exactly the people that I want to be seeing. Yeah. I'm seeing musicians that are killing it and musicians that are struggling. And I feel like the architect in the Matrix, in that last scene where he comes in, he's watching 10,000 screens of all the different realities and all the possible different that's how I feel right now when I'm watching Threads. I'm watching people that are touring artists that have everything in the world coming and giving advice, or coming in and complaining about shit that people that just picked up a fucking guitar yesterday are complaining about. So I'm seeing all these perspectives, and I'm seeing all of the threads that go viral. I hate that I have to make a video. I just wanted to make music. Go fucking make music, bro. But don't have any expectations. Point is, I'm seeing all these things, and my threads, the things that I write on there to try to help people, is my reaction to the shit that I see day in, day out. Right. So this is a response to that. It's like, dude, every single day, music industry is all about who you know. It's all about mommy and daddy's money. It's all about just being at the right place at the right time. It's not about music. It's not about talent. Bullshit. Right? Everybody wants to blame mommy and daddy. Everyone wants to blame the sky god. Everyone wants to blame Mark Zuckerberg. Everyone wants to blame Daniel Eckett's part. Everybody wants to blame the fucking industry. Everybody wants to blame. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's play the game or fall behind. And or figure out a way to disrupt it.
Yeah.
But even today, literally today, a friend of mine, an artist that I've been talking to, also that I just admire. He's had some success, and I think it was a post about working the 9 to 5 and, eventually hoping to become full-time DJ, something like that. And somebody commented basically being like, yeah, but it's all about who you know, and I'm like, okay, everything in life is about who you know. And also, yeah, okay, maybe it is. Maybe who you know will help you get further faster. But if you want to be successful in music, here are all the things you have to think about. And you have to treat yourself like a business. And you have to think about how you're branding yourself and what product you're putting out and doing it consistently and marketing yourself and all that stuff. And then your connections are going to help for sure. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And so, I mean, I love your commentary. But I also wonder, like, what motivates you to do this stuff? Like, there's nothing in it for you. I mean, I totally believe in giving more than you take. But what's your philosophy on that?
So my philosophy in general about wanting to be an artist, or my motivation to help people on Threads, or what specifically?
Giving your time and effort in helping.
Okay,
ideally. Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly why. Well, first off, when I had all that success, when I was saying, because I always tell people I'm on my 5th career in music. I had my fucking opera life, I had my promoter life, my local DJ life, I had my big thing when I was in the duo, and now I have this, and I had my lull period, and now I have this new version of me where I'm
Mhm.
just kind of completely trying to be independent and trying to prove to people with every single action that I make. Yes, there are so many excuses. Yes, the world is fucked.
Mhm.
The music industry is definitely all gray area, and it's all fucking actually created, built to be placed against the independent artist and take advantage of. Who cares?
Mhm.
The spoils go to the person who sees that and continues to spite that. So one thing that I really pinpointed, and especially during like the COVID kind of times during lockdown, you get a lot of time with yourself, and you kind of just realize what I realized during lockdown, especially when I was going to quit music. I was going to just completely quit music. I got very into tech and like Web3 and like all this stuff during lockdown and stuff.
Mhm.
And I realized like so much of what I was able to do kind of in the tech world and like was because you have to be meeting people digitally. You know, the networking
Yep.
is on it's on steroids because you have to like make an impression on somebody through a DM. You
Right.
have to make an impression on somebody through like and I realized like, dude, the only way that you go forward is putting other people on in that world. And
Mhm.
that made me really take a look at like how I always operated in music. I was always like, whenever I had a big break or I got signed to Spin In Records or I got a fucking huge collab with somebody or I got some kind of huge dream thing that happened to me. When I was younger, maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago, whatever, my mindset as like a young buck was, fuck yeah, I deserve this shit. I
Mhm.
did it. I look at me. I did it. And then when all these new eyeballs would come from all the streams and all the stuff of getting signed to a label, I'm the shit. I'm that fucking dude. I'm that dude that did it and I did it and no fucking and fuck everyone. What happens when somebody else puts you on, when you rely on somebody else, a record label, daddy, mommy, Spotify, fucking labels? The minute somebody else is responsible for the eyeballs and the attention and the clout and whatever it is that you're getting, the minute they turn the faucet off, all those people are gone.
Right.
If you don't control any of the relationships that you have with your audience, with your network, it's gone. It's dust in your hands. It's bullshit. That's why it really blows my mind. It's like, oh, if only I got signed to a label. And then what? You get signed to a label and then somebody goes and what? Somebody helps you out. Exactly. And it's gone. So
Oh
so
my God.
so that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
So for me, what I realized from that whole experience was I need to give. If
Mhm.
I am not actively waking up and giving, volunteering my time, taking my time, actually listening to people that could potentially help me or not. If I'm not doing that, then this is all bullshit.
Mhm.
Then I'm going to get what I deserve again.
Mm.
Because for those of you listening, I have millions of streams on Spotify. Okay. I have millions of streams on YouTube on my music. I have been signed to my dream record label. I've gotten paid for music more than some people will get paid in their whole life from the music that they make. Guess what? I am still to this day now because I ignored humans that showed up from those processes. As a result from those processes,
Mhm.
I am now in the process of rebuilding the community around my work.
Yeah.
And I will, and that is the cross that I'm willing to bear because that is the most important thing. What you do for other people when it comes to this industry or any kind of industry, that is the difference between your longevity or you being a flash in the pan.
Mhm.
So that's my answer. And I guess the last thing I'll round out on that is I have like a video that's like kind of like really doing the rounds where I talk about Skrillex and how he like changed my life. And he does a red carpet interview after he won the Grammy for Rumble in this last Grammys. And he says that his mentor, so he said one of the biggest things that his mentor, imagine Skrillex having a mentor, fucking incredible.
Mentors got mentors. Yeah.
Imagine what kind of a person that is. I guess his name was Martin Dodd. He was like, I think he was like a record music or something. He said to him, you have to exchange wisdom for energy. This is something that I think I don't have any tattoos, but I think that's going to be the first tattoo that I get. Exchange wisdom for energy. Anytime you can go and meet somebody and give them something, give them a little bit of your know-how, help them skip a level in their life, help
Mhm.
them to be able to not make the same mistakes you did for even 5 minutes, to not make one mistake that you did. You can potentially change somebody's life. And that
Absolutely.
energy, I believe, comes back to you. So
Absolutely.
that's my really long-winded way of why I want to help people, and Threads is helping a lot. So
Yeah, no, I thank you for all that, and God, I get so I just get so pumped up hearing all
let's
this
go, baby.
stuff. I
Let's
mean,
fucking go.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of paying it forward, paying it backward, whatever it is. I mean, I am so grateful for everything in my life and where I've gotten to today. I've had so much help along the way. You know, back when I was doing the corporate 9 to 5 grind, all the jobs I got were through my network and people helping me. And now, you know, my goal and vision for myself is to be able to run something sustainable that helps and gives back and helps artists. And having people like you on is so motivating. But I mean, there are a couple things in there. I'm trying to even just remember all the different things you just said right now. But you know, I think the community and the fan base and interacting and engaging with those fans is like so important. And so many artists I talk to artists every single day, and everybody, like, not everybody, but those who get it, and then those who don't are just like stuck on stream numbers. And you know, I talked to a rap artist the other day who's like, man, I'm not getting any ROI, I'm not getting any money back. And I'm like, what do you like, you're just trying to make money from streaming numbers? Like, you got to think bigger than that, right? That's not the only thing. And there's this concept, somebody that I've read in the industry, Rob Abelo, who talks about the concept of rented versus owned properties. And so when we think of rented properties, we're categorized, you know, those are things like you mentioned, Spotify, SoundCloud, basically stuff where you're putting your work on other platforms, Instagram YouTube, that you don't Spotify. Own, of course. Yep. So you don't own any of that data, right? It's a free platform. And what they say, when something's free, you are the product. When a product is free, you are the product. So yeah, and then so moving into like owned platforms and how to engage with your fans in your community, like something is so simple as I beat the drum on email, right? Email, SMS, like your own website where people can come and maybe you have a community gate there or something, or you're selling direct to consumer or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. And so like these are the people who are going to become repeat quote unquote customers who are going to come buy tickets to see you live, who are going to download your music, pay for your stuff. Right. And so that's so incredibly important. And how do you like what do you think is the best method that you've developed to cultivate, grow, and engage with those fans? And maybe it is on that those rented properties, but do you have any that you quote unquote own as well?
So I'm a big email guy. I'm a big Laylo guy. Laylo, obviously, for those of you that if you're first time listening to this, look up laylo.com. It is the most powerful tool. That combined with this other tool called ManyChat. It's an Instagram messenger automation thing. Laylo is also like kind of this like CRM, and it's specifically built for artists and creatives. And it's just a simple way for you to be able to gate giveaways and things like that on social media, where people have to give their phone number / their email, which is then connected to their IG. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you listening, this is what is called, there's data, okay, emails, okay. Then there's this thing called hard data. This is very important for artists and anybody fucking entrepreneur trying to understand. Hard data is when you have two different kind of points of data. And I want to break this down super clearly. So getting an email from somebody on a random website, fantastic. But do you have their first name? Do you have their last name? Do you have any small idea about their demographic? Do you know where they're from? Okay. That's what happens. That's when the difference between when you have emails from somebody and then you have their actual location. Now you have hard data. Now you have 2 points of data that can actually pinpoint you to something more specific. With something like Laylo, you have their Instagram and you have their email. Now you got a face to the email. Now you have a lot of demographic information, and now you're able to make certain decisions based on the communication that you make with this audience that you're cultivating much more thoroughly because you have this hard data. So Laylo is one way to do it, and I also use Hyped It because of all, for those of you that don't know, last year I put out 52 songs, and a lot of them I released for free on SoundCloud, and in order for you to download them on SoundCloud, you have to give your email, and you have to follow me on certain platforms and stuff, and follow me on Spotify, and I got tens of thousands of emails from that. I'm still getting them every single day. So that's a huge thing. And then the next step is for me to start like a newsletter and like start doing giveaways and stuff in there too. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Just quick pause on the 52 songs in a year. I mean, some artists won't put out that many in their whole lifetime. That is insane. I do want to move on to that in a second, but I think just like, I think the question is like, how do we, and you know, we can only post so much on threads and social media, but like, how do we get artists thinking different, like changing their mindset about this stuff? Like this industry is so stuck. It's always behind where it should be. And like I said, in all these conversations I have with people, it's like, I want to release music and I want to do it on these platforms and I want to, you know, and I want to get booked. And like, at least in the dance and electronic world, which is not the only world I live in, but it's just like the two-sided mindset. It's like, I want to release music and book gigs, and I care about streaming numbers and I care about followers, and these are the only two things in the world that exist and matter. Like, how do we change the narrative? Like, do you agree or disagree with that? Should they only be thinking about those things? Like,
so I obviously have a lot of strong thoughts on this, and
yeah,
again, just want to make it clear to the listeners. In 2022, I was going to quit music. And in 2023, in all through 2022, I was sending like works in progress of music to my homies. And some of them are currently really big world touring kind of producers. Some of them have huge, worked with, household name. No, I'm not talking about like SoundCloud rap. I'm talking about like household name people. And one of those people that I was sending music to pulled me aside one day and said, "Hey, you're sending me a lot of works in progress, buddy. And I need you to understand something." This person's telling me, and I'm all like trying to get my feet back wet into the production, showing music. And I'm just like, "What?" He's like, "If I said to you from this work in progress song that you just sent me, if I said, A, this is the best song I've ever heard in my life, you're God. Or if I said, B, this is the biggest piece of shit that I've ever heard in my life, I would suggest that you quit music." He says, "It doesn't freaking matter. What matters is how you," meaning me, the creator, feel about it, and how the audience receives it and feels about it. That's all that matters. Record labels, other artists, your mom, your girlfriend, your buddy that works at fucking investment banking that you're asking fucking music production advice. None of that fucking matters. What matters is what you feel about it. Did you feel good when you were creating it? And did the audience that you're building and that you're the steward of, that you're responsible of, did they feel like this was something that they were excited to receive from you? And can that continue the conversation between you and them? That's all that matters. Yeah. That conversation made me realize that, you know what? If that really is all that matters, and it is, it's not like it's like the laws of physics. Okay, you don't question if you drop the phone's gonna fucking fall. It's the laws of physics. I said, listen, if I just go and screw it, I've been a producer for 10 years. Let me just put stuff out and see what happens. And I did it. I told myself, and I made it public, I'm going to put a song out every single week. And I did it. And at first, people were saying, "Okay, dude, this is during COVID too, where no shit's happening."
Right. So you have attention.
I have the total addressable amount of attention based on how much effort I put in, and that's what we all have at all times, 24 hours a day. Right. We all have the same 24 hours and 6 billion eyeballs to be able to serve. So I'm able to go in there and I start putting the music out. And the funny thing is, like the first thing that people start doing is saying, "All right, brother, chill." And I was like, this is like 6 weeks in, where people were like, Vic's he's gonna stop.
Who was saying chill, and why were they saying chill?
Oh, let me tell you exactly who was saying chill. And I'm not saying this as like a dick. I'm not saying this as like a ha ha ha, fuck you, I'm smarter, better. I learned so much of this process outside. People think when I talk about releasing the song a week for a year that it's like, oh, I just did it. It was one of the most spiritual and creatively growing experiences. I mean, it's changed my life. Not just because of all the new fans and all the streams and my career getting this jolt back into existence. It's because it rebuilt the entire way that I approach creativity and what my value system is based on what do I actually care about in the creative process. The people that were saying, "Hey, brother, maybe you should chill on the releases," and I want to make this very clear to everybody listening. The biggest people that were DMing me saying, "Hey, brother, maybe relax a little," were people that were not doing shit. Let me make that clear one more time. The people that I knew had the biggest analysis paralysis, the most perfectionism, do nothing. And I'm not saying this out of spite. I'm not saying this out of anger. I'm saying this out of like, I want to shake them. I want to wake them up from a fucking dream that they're in. Dude, you got to maybe slow down on the releases. You're burning out your audience. What audience did I have? I had no audience to burn out. How could you? So that brings me back to the exact conversation of what you're saying, right? What you were asking here, right? Which is, how do we get people out of the mindset of, oh, I want streaming numbers. What's important? What's important is your input. What if I want to read a quote here that I actually, just as you asked that question, it's a quote that I swear to God, several days ago, I was just walking and it auto-played on YouTube. and I'm talking from a creator I have never, it's completely random. The video was something like, I actually pursued my dream for 365 days. Okay, so YouTube. Okay. And I'm starting to get into it, and it's very, the guy's talking, obviously I'm listening to it. It's probably, he's like, it's like probably like a visual kind of video and very well edited, but I was just listening to what he was saying. There's one moment where he talks about how he was talking to his father, and he was telling his father about, hey, I'm pursuing my dream of, I guess, becoming a content creator, becoming a YouTuber, whatever it is. And he was saying, I don't know if I'm like actually achieving my dreams because I'm not getting followers. I'm not getting the kind of amount of views that I think I should be getting. I'm not getting all the accolades and the clout from putting out this quality content. And then in this video, I'm walking and I stopped because I got full fucking body goosebumps. The response in the video, the guy says, well, his dad says this, and I'm going to read it to you. Your dreams may not come to pass, but it's because they are constructed in a way where it's dependent on other people. What if your dreams weren't dependent on other people's reactions? What if whatever your dream was dependent on, it was dependent on your ability to wake up in the present moment and make a choice to go after something you can build and you can control?
Mm-hmm.
My mindset, that validated everything else that I was thinking when it came to this stuff. You know how I know that I made it with music? Because I fucking made music and I put it out. Yeah. That to me is me getting signed to my dream record label. That's me playing in Las Vegas. That's me playing in the biggest, selling out Madison Square Garden. Now, I realized halfway through putting out a song a week, is that me making it is me being not the human that I was a year ago, sitting there with a half-finished song going, what are people going to say about it? Me making it as an artist is I finished it, I enjoyed making it, and I gave it to the world.
Yeah.
If you can get to that level, nobody in the world can tell you anything about what it is you're creating. No criticism can ever pierce your armor, and your life will change. And it's not this thing where it's like, oh, you got to download these many things and you got to go to 10 meetings. It's today. If you have the ability, I don't care who you are, dude. I don't care if you're a smooth jazz musician busking on the corner. If you can go and be the different person that you were yesterday that said, I don't have what it takes to go play in front of 5 people, and you do it, you are further along than 99% of your competition.
Amen.
That's it.
God, you need...
That's it. So that to me is the pinnacle of making it. And now that is what, like from what that quote really validated everything that I was thinking. I know that I'm fucking unstoppable now.
Hell yeah.
Nobody can defeat me because I am the judge, jury, and executioner in my own creative process and how I deliver it to the world.
Yeah. And you've unlocked this.
And I'll say the last thing here. This is why the chasm, the diving board between this mindset that I worked to get to, and what about the streams? Oh, Mark Zuckerberg's holding me down with the algo. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not jumping off and you're understanding that you are all of the power, the judge, jury, executioner is in your hand, all you're gonna do is grasp at straws. All you're gonna do is say, well, but the algo changed. Of course, it's gonna be based on something else.
They always change.
Of course, it's going to be based on the record label. Of course.
Yeah.
Until you realize that you actually can jump off. And until you realize that the power is actually in your hands, you're always going to have somebody new to blame. A new final boss, a new landlord, someone that's going to come in and hold your future by the balls. So that's where I'm at. And I hope people that are listening really, really take a think on what I just said, because this is what's changed my life, looking at it from that perspective.
All right. Well, we don't need any more. Thank you guys for listening. No, that was incredible. Thanks, like, man. I got goosebumps all over my body. And like I said, like I believe we share part of the same brain in that sense, and like how we think about things. You know, I think like the world, and one of my guests, Jay Clavette, a few episodes ago said this: the world rewards problem solvers, right? But this is not just a music thing. Obviously, we can recognize that because it's closest to the pin, but like, people want to blame their successes or failures on things that maybe they didn't control and they can't control, or they want to create excuses for themselves. And your friends during COVID who are saying to slow down. They're just these armchair quarterbacks, right? It's like, I love this meme. I think it's during the Olympics where it's like, Winter Olympics, like this snowboarder is doing this insane trick, and then he doesn't land it, and then somebody's sitting there with Doritos and Cheetos on their lap in a couch and being like, oh, should have landed that, man. Like, yeah, well, if you're jealous of somebody or telling them to slow down because they're outpacing you, then work harder, right? Like, I did an ayahuasca trip earlier this year, and I had all these kinds of feelings of like, it was like a really blissful first night, and then I remember towards the end of the night I started getting all these insane feelings of like jealousy. They were just like popping into my head out of nowhere, and specific people were coming to mind, and I was feeling emotions of jealousy. But what I took that to mean is work harder. Like, I literally wrote that down in a journal, and I was like, if you're feeling this way, work harder. Like that's all it is. And I think the self-awareness that you made with this mindset change. Well, I can't talk right now. You know what I'm talking about.
Mindset shift, baby.
Mindset shift. Thank you.
Go.
Mindset shift, right? Like, half of this stuff is all mental, and like just believing that's your superpower that you unlock. You unlock this superpower that you believe you can, that you know you can. And I'll just sort of finish with this thought is like, I'm watching a lot of videos recently about like successful entrepreneurs, like multi-billion-dollar entrepreneurs. And the common theme, it's this YouTube series called School of Hard Knocks. If anyone's interested, it's a entrepreneurship focused series where this guy goes around the country interviewing rich people and asks them how they made their money. And,
of course, yeah.
Is that the
guy with the car that talks in the cars?
He does cars, he goes people's yachts, like whatever it is, cool, he just goes up to him. He's got no fear. I love it. And one of the common things, when I'm having a down day, I watch those videos and I get inspired because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm doing it and I'm having my tough days. But the common theme that I notice with these people is the belief in yourself, the belief that you can do it, and having the long vision, right? Like, not thinking short term focused, right? Like, I'm a millennial. You may be the similar age as me, sounds like, but we all kind of want this instant gratification, especially Gen Z and below, right? Yeah, everybody wants results immediately, yeah. And they want things they can touch and feel, or at least try to measure. That's why people are so bent on stream numbers and followers and likes and comments, and that's honestly probably the negative thing that social media has brought to us. But I wanted to kind of shift back to that 52 thing. I'm sure you've talked a lot about this, but like, sure. Did you what was your process? I mean, you didn't have 52 ready to go? Like, how were you?
I was making them every week.
You were literally making a song start to finish in 1 week.
My John Summit remix that became my biggest one that like kind of went mini viral, that got support from Diplo immediately on his radio show. I made that in 3 hours from start to finish.
How?
Well, step one, the vocal. I mean, that song is driven by the vocal, the acapella, and the acapella is so, no one talks about this, but John Summit's the vocal processing is like god tier pop level, and I only realized, and I didn't really know anything about John Summit. I'm gonna be 100% with you. I was like coming off a hangover, and I was like, it's Monday, I gotta put some shit out, and I put it out, and I was like, disco bass line, breakdown, wrote itself, put the vocal in. And again, I made that in 3 hours, from opening up Ableton to dragging in the acapella to finishing it to uploading it to SoundCloud, because I was so painfully hungover that I was like, I need to just get this. I need
mix and master all yourself. Use
everything,
automation.
Everything. I do it all myself. Fuck.
Oh yeah.
I mean, dude. Obviously, the 52 songs made me a fucking next level fucking producer. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I always had the chops, and this kind of goes back to what you were asking. It's like, brother, you know how many people have the chops, and the only thing that stops them is comparison. Dude, people think, I don't have the technical ability. No, what you don't have is the ability to stop comparing yourself. One more time, like, I want to continue with this, but there's two things that you talked about just now when you were talking about you had that trip and you had that idea about work harder. Then you also talked about like how people that are successful have this belief in themselves. Work harder, I'm realizing, and I'm learning. And I understand also the feeling of jealousy. A lot of people feel that, because think about it, right? When somebody goes, and again, this all comes back to comparison, right? That's the whole purpose of this. The whole point is that all of this stuff, the work harder and comparison, they're bedfellows, right? Because what happens is when you compare yourself, you don't want to work harder because you reach a fork in the woods. One thing says, I suck so bad compared to this person. What's the point of doing it? and B, I think that I can be better than them. Well, when we go and say, I suck so bad compared to this person that's killing it, our ego doesn't allow us to say, well, I suck and I quit. It's I suck because I am perceived to suck because there's some other force at play. They're rich. They're good looking. They know somebody. They have a team. They had help. I can't just possibly suck. There's got to be more to it, right? So that's what stops you from working harder. Because the working harder, I'm not just saying you, I'm saying anybody, because all of these emotions are hitting a creative person at the same time. Comparison, jealousy, the desire to work harder, but the inability to work harder. And the thing is with this, it's like it stops us. We put so much value in something external that we have no real control over because it feels good.
Yeah.
Right? It feels good to be able to say, well, they're better looking than me, and that's why no one listens to my music. Really? Do you even put music out? Yeah. Well, I have a couple EPs in the works. There's no music. Okay, great. So that's what I'm saying. For me, it was the same thing. It was like when I shifted my mindset in this 52 releasing a song a week to it's just a war between myself and me, I'm only comparing myself to how I'm feeling in the moment, or I'm comparing myself to my last release. Brother, the work, the creative process, the desire to turn on the gauge that makes me work harder or less hard, I'm in complete control of that because I'm only looking at it through a tunnel, which is me compared to me last week. There's something about doing something quickly, putting yourself inside of a time constraint and just going for it that makes you more creative, increases your output, and makes you make better shit.
Yeah, they say the creativity blossoms when you have more guardrails. Like the more barriers, the more parameters you have around it.
Only had 7 days.
Yeah.
7 days. And 7 days made me the bullshit in my process melted off like when you're cooking on a grill.
You just get to work. It just
melted off.
You just get to work.
All the insecurity, dude. All of the what are people gonna think? Gone.
Just make a song.
And guess what happened, dude?
You made songs.
Obviously, well, I made songs, and guess what? You know what's in the top of my head?
What's in the top?
At any moment, I was like, they're gonna realize I'm a sham. They're gonna realize I was fucking hungover from the weekend, and I took 2 hours to make this, and someone's gonna call me out. Every single time that feeling intensified, and it was at the front of my mind, I got a better, more positive, huger response from the thing that I was working on. Can you fucking imagine
syndrome.
that?
The imposter syndrome was creeping.
It was creeping. No, it wasn't creeping. It was flaring. It was like a wall of fire. And I just said, I can only control what I can do, and that's dragging in kick drums and putting in mastering plugins and then finishing the song. I'm sorry.
It's a beautiful thing,
and it keeps going.
Yeah, and when I do want to clarify, when I said work harder, it is a me against man versus himself, right?
For sure.
And when I say work harder, to me, what that meant is, and it had nothing to do with actually creating. It was business. It was entrepreneurship. It was thinking of a friend who had built what I consider successful business in a short amount of time. And I'm like, fuck, what am I doing? So it motivated me.
Absolutely.
But again, of course, there is that external factor of like comparison, right? Which is so easy to do. But I you said it early in our chat, and then I want to echo it because I say it every day. I said it last night at this music networking event. Inputs lead to outputs, right? Like the more you put in, the more you get out, and just being unapologetically you and yourself and whoever is listening, and just knowing what you have to do, creating I mean, do you write stuff down? Like, do you set goals and write them down and have business plans or any kind of plans that you work towards? Like, do you have any kind of that process, or is it all up here in your head?
I should. I mean, I should do that more. But I should do that more, and I actually have been. I just got an iPad, and for the first time in years, and I never knew about this technology called the Apple Pencil, and right. It's pretty fucking incredible. Like having the tactile and the digital, and then being able to write stuff like a psychopath, right click it, turn it into text, throw that into ChatGPT, and then have it time block for me. I know that's really fucking dorky, but
no,
I need the tactile first because I need to be a crazy person. Because here's the thing: if I'm typing, if I'm typing out like a to-do list, these two fingers are for networking. They're for sending DMs. They're for doing my fucking thing.
Yep.
This motion, since we're children, right? There's something more final to it. There's something more serious to it. It's an animalistic thing. I personally, if I'm writing down notes like this, that's why prior to the iPad, I was actually physically writing with a pen into like a little notebook and then crossing things out. So for me, having the digital and the tactile, being able to do that has changed the game because I just cross things out as I do them. But in terms of big goals, I just have my why. For me personally, with my music, I want to be. I've made it like a very clear goal. I want to be the one singular artist that, the same way that there was like a group of people that kind of brought in tech house and all these amalgamations, the Dom Dollars and the John Summits and all these people that kind of came out of it. I want to be the person that brings that in for disco house into the world, because it's already existed. Tech house has fucking existed, okay, for 30, 20 years, okay? I want to be the person that brings it, that rips open the hole for everybody else, all of these incredible artists that I'm friends with that are making this genre of music. I want to be the first person that opens up that hole and opens the floodgates again. I want to be the biggest, most well-known face in this one specific subgenre of music, with the express goal of being able to put on all of my other friends who are incredibly capable, are making incredible stuff. I can't really.
Is it backwards? It says disco sucks, but
disco sucks. It does suck. Yeah, disco sucks. Yeah. So anyway, so that's my goal. So okay, so now with that said, right?
Yes.
So for me, now that I've said that, and I do say that every day to myself, you see how like when I'm able to say it out loud and I'm able to say it confidently, and I mean it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to impress upon you and anybody else listening that now that I've said that, and this is just how I'm operating every single that's my why. That's my WHY, not question mark. It's my WHY period. Because I have that, everything else is so fucking easy.
Yep.
Everything else is completely simple. Am I going to take this gig that comes along? Well, point back to, does it help me become the biggest figurehead in disco house, for me to bring the sound back in a huge way and for me to put my friends on? Y or N? Yeah, yes. Take it. Hey, here's an opportunity. Does it help me become a bigger disco house? That's it.
It's your North Star.
That's it. But see, this is the thing. My North Star, the why. My other huge thing, and the reason, like when I try to give advice to people, I have like rampant ADHD, and I think that's kind of like my superpower, because I don't like to just take things at face value. I can't, because if I'm given some advice, be yourself, check out your North Star, tap in with your why. What the fuck does that mean? What the fuck does that mean? I could like, it's like live, laugh, love on somebody's fucking welcome mat. It doesn't mean shit. And especially when people are getting like paid or whatever, have all this clout to give people advice, you just got to believe in yourself. What the fuck does that mean? What if you're an asshole? Don't believe in yourself if you're an asshole. Change something about yourself to be able to change your luck, change your station. So for me, when I talk about the why, I want to make it very clear. When somebody says connect with your why, it's you have to have a specific one sentence thing. You have to say it out loud without stuttering. And then you have to be able to always point back to it. Your why has to be like a fucking stink. When something smells like shit or smells really strongly, gasoline, you just burnt hair, you burnt toast. Burnt hair, obviously something that I deal with from time to time. It's a pungent odor that lingers in your direct vicinity. It always will remind you that you have to either get up or leave or do something about that odor. That's what your why has to be. Your why can't be something that you go, I want to be John Summit one day, and you say it once to yourself in fucking silence, and then you go and start complaining about shit and don't know what to do tomorrow. It has to be something that completely energizes you and gives you a complete just like standard of how you are responding to things that come at you in the world and how you are conducting yourself and with other people. So for me, that's my why. I want to be the biggest figurehead in disco house. I want to bring the genre back, and I want to put my friends on that make the same kind of music. Everything that I do always points back to it. It's an odor. If I answer a fucking email about somebody, like the other day, someone wanted me to sponsor, like there was like, I got like an IG sponsorship for like some socks or something. And I said, hey, how do I get money from this sponsorship to be able to put it back into my thing. Or I said, hey, how can I make content with you guys on my way so we can proliferate my sound and push it into your audience? That's all I think about. Because the odor of my why
smells
is
good.
standing. Is it good? Is it bad? Sometimes it's bad, right? Sometimes it's not good. Because if it's too good, you go to dreamland.
Did that McDonald's or DoorDash post actually is that, was there some kind of tie in there by chance, or was that just a literal like it smells like shit in there?
No. well, no. I took the meme that the actual meme was it says you sound like you're listening to Skrillex in there.
Oh, okay.
It's a meme. It's literally just a meme. So I took it and changed it to disco and made a fake thing. So that's just, it's just a meme.
I'm gonna ask a why to your why then. Like, why disco? Like, how did you land on disco? You used to make trap. You have an opera background. Like, how did you land on disco?
So when I was a kid, when I first, I mean, this is like a therapy session here. When I was like in 10th grade, I got Fruity Loops, the production software. And I had a lot of friends in San Francisco. You know, there was like a hyphy movement, like Mac Dre, Mac Mall, like all these big rappers. And I was listening to a lot of that stuff. But I also and I was dressed like thuggish. I was like a Russian speaking, like I had the parka on. I had my shit sagged. I had my San Francisco hat on. Yeah. And I was in art school and I was doing musical theater. So I was like a walking fucking conundrum. So I had to like hide my fucking musical theater life from my boys who would like go and try to steal cars and shit. And so like I got Fruity Loops because they would want to be rappers. Everybody fucking sucked, obviously. But I was like, you know what? I'm doing music, man. I'll learn how to fucking produce music. But in my own, I'm listening to like Radiohead and I'm listening to Daft Punk and I'm listening to like Air, Moon Safari, and I'm listening to all this like deep like electronic, like French electronica. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll make some hyphy fucking beats. And I taught myself Fruity Loops and I was 10th grade and I started making beats. But all of them had like filtered like little Daft Punk little sounds in them.
French house kind of.
Or whatever, just like 4 on the floor kicks and hi-hats. And so I went and I showed it to my friends and, you know, pardon my French, but they were like, this is gay. Straight up. They were like, man, get this shit off. Get this shit out of here. Get this techno shit out of here. Bro, I was traumatized.
Yeah.
Because I literally was like 17 years old. Like, oh my God, did I finally find a passion? Did I finally find something that my life has meaning again outside of like the track that my parents and my family have put me on? I'm making beats. And I showed to them, this fucking techno shit. And so, dude, I got traumatized. And I always wonder, like, had I just like not listened to my stupid ass friends and kept on producing, I would have been fucking Skrillex by now. I would have been Porter Robinson by now. I always think about that because I took like a 7-year hiatus or 6-year hiatus from production. I was literally traumatized. I was a wounded. Bullied. Yeah, I got bullied, dude. I was like a wounded. I literally deleted Fruity Loops and deleted all my beats. It's crazy, dude.
Damn.
I wish I had those beats. But the point is that it reminded me, like when I got back to production, for those of you that aren't production nerds, to this day, my process has not changed because the feeling of taking an old sample or any kind of sample, any kind of music sample, but specifically when it comes to like French house, disco house stuff that I do, the Daft Punk style, you take like an old 70s sample or like an old, 80s record, whatever it is. You put a kick drum on the floor of the floor.
Yes.
And then you do this thing called sidechain it. You sidechain the 80s sample that's completely out of context, that doesn't have that kind of beat on it. You put a kick drum on it and you get that pumping effect. For those of you that don't know, like imagine Betty Benassi Satisfaction. Ring it in there. That's called sidechain, okay? To me, to this day, that effect has still not gotten old. The process of finding a cool soul sample from the 70s, dragging it in, putting the sidechain effect, that's alchemy. To me, that's the best feeling in the world. And that's why I love disco house, because I can do that effect all day long. And it still gives me the same feeling of when I first did it. So it lends itself to disco house. And I love the rhythm. I love the happiness of it. I think right now, the reason I believe in disco house more than anything, and the reason that I mark my words, it's going to be the biggest genre. And people are going to be copying it. There's going to be the most like fucking Nexus sample pack, my first disco house like sample pack and shit's going to be flooding the market, is because the world goes in waves. Culture goes in waves. Right now, we're in a dark area, right? Yeah. GDP down, BPM's up. I don't know if you know about this. GDP down, BPM goes up. Yeah. Shouts out to my man TJR. He said that to me in a group chat. Oh, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. He's an absolute legend. GDP down, BPM's up. We're in the dark era. Techno, industrial, Berlin, Charlie XCX, Brat. There's like a element of doing drugs and being in the fucking dark. dark. And it's funny because my aesthetic is like hella dark, but like the music that I make is like hella happy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
dude, I've always been like a happy. I want to make happy music. I just went to Portola Festival and I saw Disclosure perform, and they did their "She's Gone" dance on. People smiling,
Oh
people
yeah.
hugging each other. Techno, I get it. You got to fucking, but brother,
Major key.
yeah. But just the way there was this book that I read called The Song Machine that talked about all these like trends in pop music, and one of the things that always sticks with me is how Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, NSYNC. We had an era, 98 Degrees, fucking O-Town. As you can tell, I'm a big boy band guy. Spice Girls, all this shit. It's like it was never going to end. We had so many boy bands and girl bands and pop music. What happened? Eminem. Eminem was the end of the sentence. Eminem was the end of that sentence and the beginning of a new era. Eminem, when Eminem came on the scene, dark. We're back to the darkness. We're back to the grit. We're back to the underbelly of reality. No more life is going to be great and I love you. We are right now in the world and music. We are in our Eminem era.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the darkness. We are in it's the chiaroscuro. We are in the dark era. And right now, the dark is going to overload and we're going to come back to the light. And the light includes genres like disco house. It includes, maybe we're going to have like future bass kind of stuff kind of coming back. You already can kind of see that starting. We're coming back out of that loop, and I want to position myself in the very front of that wave.
You already
so
are.
That's why I really believe in disco house. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
And I believe that too. And I think somebody that just comes in front of mind for me is like Purple Disco Machine. Perfect. I think he, great example. But like you talk about smiling faces. I've been to multiple Purple Disco shows, festivals, intimate settings. Everyone's smiling and dancing, and that's kind of sometimes hard to see, and especially in like the SoCal market, in US, people just don't kind of like let free and stuff. So I am totally on that train with you. I applaud everything you're doing. I actually like where you've kind of combined some genres, trap, dubstep, with your disco, which I think, I don't know, do you have any plans to do more of that? I think it's very unique. I mean,
oh yeah.
I
mean, one thing that I'm gonna do right now, and I just spoke with. Oh, by the way, I mean, this is the first time I'm kind of talking about it publicly.
Let's go.
I just got signed to management. I just got signed to Vital Management, and they do like a lot of dubstep people. They do One True God. Yeah, they're awesome. Absolutely incredible. Shouts out Max and Emily. And, they're very, very kind of plugged into the dubstep world. Very much. They do Toxic Summer, they do all these things. What I'm going to start doing, because I had like some pretty good success with, I remixed the song Country Rhythm by Hole. And I really did that. Again, that was one of my 52 remixes. And I did it as a fucking joke.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever, joke, real. I don't know what's joke or real at this point. I mean, I made it. And that was like super well received. And it's one of the biggest moments in my sets, especially for like EDM heads that come like, what? Why is he playing this? And then I do my disco kind of flip of it. So
flip it, yeah.
But dude, playing disco, because my kind of tagline on all my music is disco is a weapon. And my thing is like, as much as I want the disco stuff to be happy, I want to do the headbanging. I want to do the gritty. I want to be able to use disco as this like punk thing, because that's what it is. Disco being reimagined as this like heavy fucking thing that people can be jumping around to while smiling, techno headbanging while being happy and hugging each other. Yeah. That's my goal. So I'm going to be remixing a lot more dubstep songs and hopefully trying to get like maybe official remixes for dubstep songs, because again, comes back to my why. I'm opening a door that nobody's even considering opening. And and this is how I want to be making all of my decisions. So when it comes to creating dubstep remixes or disco remixes of dubstep, there's another way that I could create a moat around myself. That's my leverage. And I'm happy to do it because I don't give a fuck. I'll disco the world. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter.
We got to get you a sign that says that, replace it with your dope art behind you. But like that, like just the halftime, flip or right in the middle of the song. Yeah, I mean, people love that. Like they need variation, like it's I used to love back, but like same time frame we were talking about coming up in, like first festival, first kind of like dance music exposure. I'd see artists like 8-Track, right? And then, he's playing a house set and then he'd sprinkle in a little bit of trap, sprinkle in a dubstep, and then go back to it. And you kind of like, it keeps you on your toes a little bit. And I love that. I love that about you. And I'm for it. And then, somebody, you're welcome, of course, man. I don't have just anyone onto this podcast. And then you mentioned like Diplo in the beginning. I do remember listening to like an NPR clip, a radio clip from him like 10 plus years ago. And his charter was to travel the world, go to these like,
Favelas. I know exactly what you're talking about, dude. I know exactly. I think about that clip all the time. But yeah, keep going.
No, I mean that's the long and short of it is like he goes to these underrepresented areas of the world. He tries to understand the local scene and the culture and the music and like borrow from that stuff and try to be ahead of the curve. He did that successfully with Major Lazer, and then like just a lot of the music he's released over the years, and that's how he's stayed so relevant, right? So.
Yeah.
If you're ahead of the curve, if you're creating the trends instead of following them, I mean that's you're on top of the world.
Yeah. Okay. You just said something magical. Create trends, don't follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Please, 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 please. If you're an artist that's listening to this and you don't understand what that means, because again, that's something that you and I and people in the music sphere and the creative sphere will hear all the time. Be the niche. Create trends, don't follow them. I agree. What does that practically mean? If I'm a kid listening to this and I hear that and I go, oh yeah, sounds great. What does that mean? Let me break down exactly what that means. So somebody can hear this and go and do it right now, not in 6 years when they go, well, I should have fucking probably created trends and not followed them, right? What it means is stop thinking of yourself as an artist. Stop thinking of yourself as a creative right now. Here's the thought exercise. What do you actually like? That should be simple, right? It's very fucking difficult for people to answer that question, right? Because there's a lot going on there. There's a lot, like, to be able to stop and say, oh, here's things that I like, you have to admit that your taste is valid and worthy. And now we're going to get really, that's where we get down into a deep, painful rabbit hole, which is kind of at the core of all of this shit. Why people are stymied, why people are blocked from creating and sharing things, because they think that their opinion isn't relevant.
Yeah.
But stop for 2 seconds. Imagine the world ended and you're the last person on planet Earth. What do you like? Now that civilization has ended and you're the final human that's only going to live as long as you can forage for food, what do you like? Is it wildlife photography, Pokemon, heavy metal music? Okay. Why aren't you making heavy metal music about when the music videos are wildlife photography and the songs are about Pokemon? I know that's so simple to think about, but that is what's missing. If that what I just described came out tomorrow, even if you didn't like all those things, wouldn't you stop and give that thing at least give it a fair listen? Because it's something that you've never heard of before.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what the fuck is this? Someone said, dude, it's this guy in his garden jamming and singing about Pikachu. What the fuck? Because, and that guy, and again, put any Mad Libs into what it is. That is how you become your niche.
Yeah.
Not looking out and saying, what can I be that is not me? It's looking in and saying, how can I be more of myself despite what is popular in the world? That's how you get an edge. And a lot of people won't do it until it's years down the line. Take it from me. That's what I did.
Yeah, it's what. Thank you for that, and it's what makes you you. And it's also this like psychological challenge we have, where it's like we're afraid of new, we're afraid of change, we're afraid to go in the uncharted waters. What if the what ifs happen? Like, what if I do this and it doesn't go well? Whatever, you know. Yeah. So like, like you said, easier said than done, because we are our own worst critic and our own worst enemy. I know we're kind of up against time. You got big important things to do, places to be. I want to let you plug your show for Gordo coming up.
Sure.
How did that come to be? What is your process preparing for that? He's a bit of a different flavor than you. Are you just going to do your thing? Like, what? Tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll let you get on your way.
For sure. So I'm playing I have the privilege of playing with Gordo in San Francisco on October 27th, the Hibernia Bank, with the Mana Society. They're this incredible group of people that are putting on just these. It's going to be like pretty much legendary shows at this legendary venue. It's a big old couple 100-year-old bank in San Francisco. Gorgeous place. They're bringing in lights and sound and a stage. It's going to be incredible. In terms of the kind of music I'm going to play, and it's so funny. Again, here we go again. So many people reached out to me. You're going to play disco at the Gordo show? I've been doing this shit for 15 years. Okay. Yeah. This show is not about me. It's about the person that I'm supporting. Mm-hmm. So for me, the interesting creative challenge is how do I keep my own voice while setting the table for the master to come at work, come and do his job. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I am definitely putting in a kind of more longer form, kind of more less kind of big drops, still including my own music wherever I can. Obviously, I have a lot of music to draw from, which I'm really grateful for. Yeah. and not doing the big drop stuff, and kind of doing more of kind of like an Ibiza style kind of disco set with longer songs, kind of bigger, more soulful kind of vocals. And dude, I've been having the time of my life digging. Last night I was up. The reason I was a little bit frazzled today, I guess, in the beginning, was because I was up until 3 o'clock in the morning just going down a rabbit hole. Also, shouts out SoundCloud. For those of you that think SoundCloud is dead, you're in trouble. The recommendation algorithm on SoundCloud is not a game changer; it's a life changer.
Absolutely.
If you find it's the most not talked about thing in the music industry, especially the DJ industry. So go check out SoundCloud. It's back, baby. It's back.
Oh, it never went anywhere for me. It's actually where it's the only place that all of my music exists.
There you go.
I got some on Spotify, I got some elsewhere. I got, big SoundCloud guy. Well, thank you so much for that. Like, congrats on the booking. I mean, that's a huge opportunity for you. It's just going to keep going. You're on this rocket ship that you built yourself. Let's make sure to highlight that you built this rocket ship yourself, and your trajectory is insane, and you have a clear vision for yourself, and you have that why, and you're going to keep doing it. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on here, but also just for everything you're doing for the industry. And it's really up to people to listen and take your advice.
Appreciate it.
All you can do is preach and share your insights, and they're valuable. So thank you so much, Goshfather. Just
thank you,
smile
man.
at the camera. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. We're going to use it for the pod, and we'll let you get on your way. 3, 2, 1. What up? All right. Thank you so much, man. This has been the Racket House Podcast, episode 7. Subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Hell yeah.